Alright, so swim bait hack for you guys. I use swim baits all year round. Um, Springtime, I love throwing swim baits. I throw 3-inch all the way up to 6 to 8-inch sometimes. Right now I'm just throwing a 4 3/4 inch. I guess we'll just start with what I'm throwing right now. Right now I'm just throwing a 4 3/4 inch. It's a Rage, Strike King Rage swimmer. And it's in white ice or whatever color it is, I don't know, but it's just white, kind of clear on the bottom. Nothing special to it. And I love white. I'm from Michigan, and we don't have a lot of lakes where we have shad or alewives in them. This specific body of water, though, we do have some gizzard shad in it. But I throw white year round. It doesn't matter what lake I'm fishing. I'm probably going to start with white at least. White just has drawing power, in my opinion. I think white, along with maybe like a green pumpkin with white on it, just something bright, I think just attracts fish a ton. I love white. I throw white everywhere I go. It doesn't matter if it has shad in it or just gills or just crappie or perch, whatnot. I'm throwing white. So I guess we'll start with the rod and what I'm using. So I'm throwing this on a 7.2 medium heavy. This is a Cabela's Tournament ZX rod. I don't think they make them anymore, which sucks because they were my favorite rod ever since Cabela's combined with Bass Pro. I haven't seen any of these rods, but I love these rods. I wish I could have bought more, but I couldn't. But this rod has a really soft tip to it. It bends a lot. It has a lot of give. And you kind of want that in a swim bait. You want a ton of backbone though, and this rod has a lot of backbone, which I love. Love throwing swim baits on this rod. Little ones. I'll throw up to 4 or 5. I'll throw 5 inches on this, and sometimes 6, depending on conditions and stuff. But I pair that with 15-pound Seagar Red Label. It's fluorocarbon. I prefer fluorocarbon over anything for swim baits just like these. Obviously, if you get into like fly baits or pretty big swim baits, you might throw them on braid or something, but I'm gonna be throwing them on fluorocarbon 95% of the time. And I have that on a 6.3 or 6.6 to 1 gear ratio reel. It's springtime especially. I do recommend a 6.6 or lower gear ratio reel, just so you can creep it. All you want that swim bait to do is just shimmer, not just the tail but the head too. So that's kind of my setup with it. So let's get into the hack, I guess. It's not really a hack. I'm sure a lot of people use it, but just noticed not a lot of people by me use it. So I guess we'll just start with like the main hook. So I just mainly have a screw lock on here. I think this is a VMC screw lock weighted swim bait hook. Nothing special, but you can see this treble hook on here. And all I've done, it's pretty simple, is once you rig the swim bait on there, screw it on, take this hook and you just put just a treble hook. Nothing special to it. This is a Mustad. I believe it's a size 4, just any typical treble hook. Just put it on before I put the swim bait on. And then once I do that, make sure the main hook's straight. Once I do that, I'll be hanging. You can leave it hanging if you want to, but what I do with it is I like to stick it in the back here. Make sure it's even and level. And all I do is I put it in, and I stick it as far in as I can to where it's level and equal with the middle of the swim bait. So that's what I'll do. And this prevents short strikes. Like I just had a fish on about 30 minutes ago, hit this thing, and only get hooked up on these bottom 2. And it's key because when they short strike it, or just slap at it, they won't get hooked up if you have a normal swim bait hook on here. With the normal swimbait hook, once you know they bite it, eat it, you gotta let them kind of eat it more, get it in their mouth, and then you set the hook. But with this, it just pins them up really good. I love throwing swimbaits like this because I fish my swimbaits higher in the water column. I'll usually swim them over the weeds or over logs, so I won't really have to worry about, you know, snagging up and losing your whole rig. So it's a really effective way to catch bass and keep them on, and I just like it a lot, and I really suggest you guys try this out if you haven't already. But it's really simple. I'll give you one last little look at it. Nothing really to it. It's just pretty simple stuff. You can think of it kind of as a mag draft, actually. You know how mag drafts have the harness and then they'll have a treble hook on the bottom. It's basically a way to have a line through swim bait without having a line through. And actually, just another thing, this top hook does play a factor in it too. One of the second fish I caught today didn't even get hooked up on this thing. I mean, he choked the bait too. He had it all the way down. Didn't even get hooked up on this. He got hooked up on the top. So both hooks play a role, but just the key thing is to make sure that this treble hook is as even keel as possible, and just make sure that's a fact, and make sure it runs straight too. You know, before you start fishing with it heavily, just toss it right out from the bank and reel it back to you, and just see what the action looks like. Last thing, and then I'll end it, but the action you want on the swim bait is not just the tail moving, but you want the nose moving too. So it's going to be more of like this. It's going to be shimmying, and that's what you want. You want the nose moving too. So that's the key action. That's why I like the the slower gear ratio reel. So I just creep along, and it's going to get bit. And I mean, if you don't throw a swim bait in spring, you're definitely missing out. Caught some pretty good fish already this year on it, but I've caught numbers, a lot of fish on this swim bait. So that's my setup. That's my swim bait setup for the spring. It's deadly. If you haven't tried one, please try it. But anyways, that was a video. See you next time.